super glad to be here. How many here work in finance? Can we get a hands up? All right. And I was curious on the finance X cursor kind of crossover, which seems quite high. And I have one more question before I get started here. How many have used Lovable as well? If we can do that. All right. I don't do percentages like that, but it looked like most of you. Let's see. Do we have the screen? No. There we go. So I wanted to talk a bit about what we do at Lovable and some of the, I would say, big changes that we're seeing. You know, really, it started maybe 1 year ago, but really since, I would say, December last year, we've seen amazing progress on the foundational model layer. And what that means for all of us knowledge workers and so on is that we have to change how we work and assumptions about what we should do every day. And what we do at Lovable and our mission is to enable everyone to build software. And what we've seen within our own organization and with our customers is that it's radically changing who does what and the idea of even what an engineering department is. So in Lovable, most of you have used it, so I won't bore you with the details, right? But the whole idea is that you as an individual, you can actually create software now. And we see that from people building startups on our platform to the Fortune 500 building a bunch of tooling around their business on our platform. And I think, there's radical change here, and there's something that I wanted to talk to you all about today, which is something maybe a bit less obvious when it comes to AI and what's important here. So we talk a lot about becoming AI native, right, and using AI to its maximal ability. And one really important thing with AI is that if you have this really powerful AI model that doesn't have access to any context, it's kind of useless. And a lot of this context, it lives within existing systems today. And actually, a lot of these systems have, I would say, incentives to keep you in their system. So often when you're building a platform and a product, you kind of get that tension between keeping people on your product while allowing your platform for anyone to use. And I would say there's countless of examples of when these platforms or products becomes limited. And this happens everywhere from communication tools you use every day to knowledge-based systems where you store a bunch of important data for AI to be able to do things from, and even down to kind of creative tools that help you create everything from design and code and so on. So it's really important to have this context and be in control of your own data. And if you're not in control of kind of the applications that you rely on, you are not really in control of your own context, which, as I said, is very important to being AI native. So there's a bunch of vendors out there that I would trust with my data, right? But not all of them. And what Lovable has enabled and what we're seeing is that actually for a lot of things you can actually just kind of build it yourself because it's becoming more and more trivial. Even my favorite thing is when I love asking people around the friction they experience in our product, and the first thing I have to ask them now is when they use our product, because it changes so much even month to month that I have to make sure that the feedback is kind of up to date. So just like in the latest months, actually the possibilities of doing a lot of more of this stuff yourself has changed so much. So what we're seeing is that people are replacing their SaaS by doing this, owning the data and also controlling how this integrates to different things. So I thought I would show you some examples ranging from maybe a bit silly internal use cases to some more powerful ones. And really what I want to showcase is just how data can be accessed from different places. And when you can really start connecting it, that's when I think you start getting magic. and really become AI native. So this slide deck here, you might see here behind the plant, it says edit with Lovable. So it's just a Lovable app. And I asked it to include this slide here with a little input where I can ask about Lovable, the organization. Does anyone have like a question around like the team structure or anything at Lovable? Just shout it and I'll input it here. Top payer, who has the most salary? That's not going to be in here actually. That's a good one though. I'll just ask how many teams do we have in engineering? So again, this is just like a slide deck that I created, and now it answers here, and it says we have about 30 team from agent capabilities doing evals, platform engineering, and we're spread across product engineering, platform engineering, and go-to-market engineering. And so this is just based on our actual data, and it kind of put this into this slide deck I have here. And where it comes from is this Lovable app, which we call just Who is Everyone, because when we started hiring more people, we realized like, wait, who is everyone at the office? And we can even see here, I had a teammate come in here just, in the last hour and go and change something. So anyone at the company can go and change this application. I'm not going to show you the entire application because I don't want to dox ourselves too much, but I thought I could show this tab at least, which is just a fun game. So I believe I know this person. So yes, Shane, and then you can go here and you can keep on playing Victor. I know most people at Lovable, yeah, still. This is just an example of, okay, there's this app here, and actually the data that you saw, right, it's, no one really looks at this database, right, but just to exemplify, the data actually just lives in a normal SQL database. You can export it, you can do anything with it, you can chat with Lovable to build new features on top of this data. And actually one thing I did here was that I asked Lovable to implement an MCP for this app, and that is actually how this part works, right? And just to show that I can, for example, open Claude here and say like, who is Anton? And this should use the same. I can zoom in maybe. I can't, but this should use the same MCP server that is on that same app. So it's just an example of like, hey, you can actually, just build anything with Lovable and access that data. You can go into your terminal if you're a developer and do it, or you can, I don't know, if you're using Light or Strawberry or Legora, you can also access that data from all those systems. And we actually have 2 Antons now, so it's telling me that. So that's one example, and I'll show you some more ones. So another example is kind of just our internal kind of onboarding thing for new employees, where people can learn a lot of things. So this is our people team who just built this app, right? And they of course offer a chatbot here where you can kind of chat and learn things. And as with anything Lovable, it's quite easy to, like here they've done some Notion sync because they have some things in Notion, and they have this form. So it's very easy to kind of be very flexible with what you're creating. I'll keep just showing you some random stuff we have internally. So this year is actually one of our data engineers who built this app, which has become very popular at Lovable. I can't show you all of it because it's kind of some internal data, but it's called LoveSite, and it's like this Slack bot that we have that you can ask anything, like what's our ARR, or like anything you want to know, and it will just kind of answer you. Then let's not go into the finance dashboard, but let's maybe struggle scores. I think is quite interesting. So this again is some bucketing our data analysts have done over kind of what people are building on Lovable and how much we see them struggling with it. So this is obviously something we want to optimize and improve. And they made this kind of really nice visualization over time, how different things, like payments, we've seen a lot of people struggling with because it's quite a complex thing to do. So that's something we're going to work on improving and making easier to build. But this is just an example of where, as you can see, again, it's just this edit with Lovable button down there. So it's just a Lovable app that we can build based on the data. And just show another example here, like when we develop things at Lovable, we do a lot of experiments. So this is also a place where we can kind of see all the experiments that's going on in production right now. And you can even see here that 3 of them were started today, and yesterday we had even more started, and so on. So those are 2 examples. This one I think is quite fun. It's just a roadmap, so I'm careful here and like not scrolling too much to the right. So I'm like all the way to the left here of what we're launching and so on. But when something that's really important for us is that we're all aligned and kind of working towards the same goal, and then you need to keep on just repeating internally, right? Hey, what are we working on? What's coming up next, and so on. And we found that us engineers, we were using like one system, and then we started getting in some product people, then we're using another system, and it became really messy, and we didn't really know where the source of truth were. So we created this kind of launch roadmap app where our product marketing people can come in here and like build some functionality, and our engineers can come in here and build it. So it's really tailored to our organization and how we work. And then, for example, we have like different tiers of launches. So we did a big changes to our agents. That was a tier 1. And then we released some different connectors, for example, here recently. You see, I'm very careful where I'm scrolling. And then this one is just, we have this Slack channel where an engineer that ships anything can just like wrote what they shipped and why they shipped it and how it improves things for our users. And then this app will actually just go and check what was published there in Slack and make sure that, hey, we're actually telling everyone about what we're doing, because sometimes we do stuff and we forget to tell people about it. So it's just an example of how you can really tailor applications towards your own organization and your own ways of working. So, in summary, really it's about being in control. It's about avoiding any type of vendor lock-in that you can experience when you don't have control of your own data. And what we see when people do this in Lovable, right, they just build their own apps, and often you can actually build apps on top of other apps, but sometimes these apps that you build on top of, right, they are limited in their API, and then you're kind of screwed at that point. So sometimes it's even better to kind of be even controlling in the source data that I showed you in kind of the Who is Everyone, where it's just like every person Lovable is just in that database, and we have full control and ownership of it. And then basically, just like if you own the data, you can handle exactly how it's stored and what happens to it and who has access to it. So we're really going from where you have a choice between actually consuming SaaS, right? I think there's a bunch of good use cases where you might still want to do that, but now you actually have the choice, like, hey, I actually need something more personalized for what we're doing, or I want people to be able to kind of improve this as we go along. Then you can actually do it yourself at this point. So yeah, now you don't really have to rent software anymore. You can just start building it. So yeah, that's Lovable. Thank you all so much.